Chris and Joe are siblings and have decided to establish their own self-managed super fund and act as individual trustees. The SMSF allows them to pool their superannuation funds together, take control of their investments, and reduce management and administration fees. However, in administering the SMSF, they have more responsibilities requiring a greater compliance focus, including annual audits and tax returns. Self-managed superannuation funds are small funds that have up to 4 members. Members do not need to be related unless they are in an employee-employer relationship. Generally, the members of the fund will also have control of the fund, whether as individual trustees or as directors of a corporate trustee. This element of control is an important factor in the popularity of SMSFs, as they provide greater investment opportunities, such as through residential property and a range of unlisted assets, and enable the investment strategy to be tailored. However, with the added control comes a range of operational rules and administrative duties that must be adhered to. To establish an SMSF, a number of steps need to be followed and a range of decisions need to be made, including the type of trustee, as well as the trustee consent and declarations, preparation and execution of the trust deed, the investment strategy, and registration with the ATO. Trustees of SMSFs have a range of responsibilities and must meet certain compliance requirements. These requirements may come from the trust deed, superannuation legislation, and common law duties. Further, some of the common law duties of trustees have been codified into the legislation and further imputed into a super fund's trust deed. While a number of strict rules exist for all superannuation fund trustees, some of these have more practical application to SMSFs, given that trustees and members often overlap. For example, the sole purpose test requires the super fund to be maintained to provide benefits to members upon retirement, once they reach a certain age, or upon death. While an SMSF trustee may have access to super funds prior to these times, the trustee must ensure that the funds are not used for any other purpose, such as to fund their current lifestyle, to financially assist relatives, or to otherwise advantage another party through investments or acquisitions that are not at arm's length. Further, the trustee's investment strategy should steer clear of extremely risky investments and be well diversified to moderate the risk and protect the balance of the superannuation fund. It follows that super funds are only permitted to borrow funds under a strict set of rules and only on a limited recourse basis, meaning that only the specific asset underlying the borrowing is at risk and not the remainder of the superannuation fund assets. The taxation consequences of self-managed super funds are largely the same as for other superannuation funds. However, certain practical issues are more prevalent for SMSFs when compared to other funds, such as the super fund leasing assets to the member, or the super fund having a single asset supporting both an accumulation account and an income stream. As such, provisions relating to the taxation of non-arm's length income, as well as the determination of exempt income where assets of the fund are not segregated, become very relevant for SMSFs. Consequences of breaching the rules relating to SMSFs apply to both individual trustees and directors of corporate trustees. The consequences largely depend on the type of breach and the action the ATO elects to take. Most penalties relate to specific applications by the ATO, although the ATO may also seek civil penalties and, in exceptional circumstances, criminal penalties may be sought. It's important to note that a range of defences exist where the trustee has breached their duties. These may partially or wholly excuse the trustee from any civil liability. To recap, self-managed superannuation funds are small funds with up to 4 members. The main advantage of SMSFs is the control they offer the members, who generally overlap as the trustee. However, with the greater control comes greater responsibility, and SMSF trustees must be careful to abide by a number of general and specific rules and duties that apply, both in the establishment and the operation of the superannuation fund.